I'd like to know which highlights have drawn your attention especially.
Well, this is, I think, a very important visit taking place in a historical sort of time. At least several points stand out, I mean, in terms of highlights. First and foremost, I think we see that this important visit, has been very much cared and guided strategically by the top leadership. This is the 11th visit by President Xi, and also I think in the past 10 years or more, the two leaders has been meeting over 40 times. So that has been very much, in a way, ensure that despite the changes, external disruptions and others, and I mean, the relationship has managed to maintain on a steady track of cooperation and development. That is the first. The second point, I believe, is that the visit itself has produced more than 20 cooperation agreements and MOUs and others, which very much helped the implement the strategic consensus and the framework that has been established by the translated political trust of the two countries into concrete, practical cooperation. These agreements certainly, I think, covers very important areas: strategic stability, safeguarding the international law, which is of course very much important given the fact the two countries are large country, major country, permanent member of UN Security Council. But equally important is practical areas, for example, the protection of trade and investment treaty, and also AI, agriculture cooperation, and interestingly, the production of movies and others, which is very much related the people-to-people and cultural exchanges. The third point, I believe, is that the two sides has very much managed to join the lessons from the history. Remember, this is a commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the Chinese War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and Soviet sort of victory of great compatriotism. And the Second World War against the world fascism. So this is a very important and special occasion to join history, lessons, experience, and to define a kind of right historical perspective in the context where the world today is undergoing so much dramatic changes and transformation. So the UN, which is again 80th anniversary, the UN, the international system, international sort of order, all has been very much an issue for the two countries. And equally important, of course, I think during the small sort of tea party meeting between President Xi and President Putin, they discussed about the regional, global issues related and including the Ukraine crisis. And I think the President Putin pledged that it is ready to conduct peace talks without conditions.
Yes.
So it's a very important visit, and a lot of highlights I think we need to take into consider.
I see. And where do you see both countries having greatest opportunities?
The greater opportunities, I would believe, that more or less comes from the challenges they are facing, the world we are living, and facing, I think, the two countries themselves. All in all, I think, on the one hand, 8 years later, the world at large continues to enjoy kind of relative stability, development, but many challenges, new challenges, right, arising from the hegemony, power politics, but most importantly, I think about the deglobalization or anti-globalization, which I think making the world even more complicated, turbulent, and I think uncertain. The fact that China and Russia pledged that they will continue to uphold the international system with UN at the core and international order underpinned by international law and the multilateral trading system, I think means a lot. And so working together, China and Russia are ready to translate or turn these challenges into opportunities for further development, for the good of themselves, their own development, but also for the region and the world at large.
And how do you think cooperation can be fostered?
Cooperation can be, certainly, I think, has between China and Russia have a solid foundation, political, because of the profound political trust. But I think more efforts have to be done in terms of translating these political trust into concrete things. The agreements that have been signed, more than 20 ones, and plus the previous one, I think in 2023, when President Xi visited Russia, these steps, these sort of agreement has to be followed. And very much important, I took notice that the two leaders pledged that they will instruct their relevant department to follow through concrete taking concrete step, these agreements. That is a very good sign.
I'd like to stop there. Which sectors do you think will find greater business opportunities as the countries sign and follow these deals?
I think given the nature of the relationship, in practical cooperation, I would believe that the agreement related to trade and investment, the protection of the, that is very much important, because it would help the two countries to work out a favorable environment that would be predictable and certain and stable and defined by a rule of law. That is, in other words, the business environment would be ready or make it more favorable for that the business sector community, both in China and Russia, and the public-owned or private ones, so that they will be more encouraged or more initiative, given more initiative to work through, to explore and the other arrangements related to the payment, the settlement of the local currencies and others. All these will help prepare the ground for China and Russia to have a high-quality integrated development that brings benefit to the average people and the region and the world at large.
And when do you think both countries are going to start seeing the fruits of this trip?
Well, I think the fruits has already been seen, and we have seen that thanks to the deepening and expanding cooperation, the natural gas from Russia has already been used by Chinese average household, majority of them. And I think we have seen that on the street, on the streets of Russia, so you see more and more EVs and Chinese cars made by China are running. And of course, the tourism, Chinese and Russian tourism are coming. And equally important is that I think the interest of in each other's culture and others are also growing. So all in all, I think we are going to see more and closer interactions that would help not only prepare the ground for this relationship, but more importantly, I think pursue making the relationship become more win-win and more on equal footing.
Rong Ying, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.